In this session, we will be learning decimals. Okay. Before I go to decimals, you have to have knowledge about certain things. Um, First of all, you have to have knowledge about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And you should also have knowledge about place values or the decimal value place value system. That means ones place, tens place, hundreds place, all those things you should have knowledge. Okay, that's the prerequisite to understand decimals. Okay, now why we have to know decimals. See, decimals came into existence when we had to talk about things which are smaller than one. That is why, to understand decimals, you also have to know division and fractions. You see, now in normal mathematics, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, then fractions. Now, fractions are done to understand situations or numbers which are lesser than one, smaller than one, but more than zero. That is what is fractions. Yeah, sometimes more than one also, more than two also is there fractions. But basically fractions are talking about parts within that one. Okay. Now, if you see decimals, decimals is also numbers which are having components like ones place, tens place, hundreds place, all those things also are there. But then it also has places lesser than one's place. Lesser than one's place. What do I mean by this? Now, if we have, this is the ones place. The next one is the tens place. The next one is the hundreds place. Right? Next one is the hundreds place. The next one is the thousands place. Now, if we see the characteristics of this, now if I have a 2 here, the value of the whole number is only 2. But if I put the same 2 in this place, the value becomes 20. If I put the same 2 in this place, the value of the number becomes 200. So what do we see? We see that whenever we are shifting from this side to this side, the value is increasing by how many times? 10 times, right? It was just 2 here, it became 20 here. Now it was 20 here, it became 200 here again. So every time you go left side, the value of that number is increasing 10 times. Okay. Now, these are numbers that we are talking about 1, 2, 10, 12, 100, 1,000, all these things. What if there are numbers which are less, having this 200 also? Okay, we are having 200 also. What if there is some part, say for example, 200 and 201. Between this, some number is there. Okay. Let's say we're having 200. This is a 200, fine. But what if there is a situation where we have to talk about a number which is more than 200, but less than 201. That means that small part is there. That part lesser than a 1. Lesser than a 1 is there. How do we show that? For that, what we do is, we know if we go left side, the number value is increasing by 10 times. Okay, what will happen if I go to the right side then? The number value will decrease, right? By how many times? By 10 times. Decreasing more means what? Division. Division by 10 times. Okay. What are we dividing 10 times? Now this is a 1. We multiplied at 10, it became 10. This is a 10, we multiplied at 10, it became 100, right? Like that, if I am moving this side, what am I dividing? 1 is divided by 10, right? 1 is multiplied by a 10, gives you a 10. This side, left side, means 1 divided by a 10 what will it give? How will it show that? That is when we talked about fractions, right? When we said fractions, what is the meaning of 1 is divided by 10? How do we write this in the form of fraction? 1 over 10, or it is a 1/10. So with this understanding, we know this will be a 1/10 place. This will be a 1/10 place. And how do we show that? Now, if we just again write a 1, we cannot write a 1/10 and all, no? So what do? We take a decimal point in the center and we say, okay, this is a demarcation. Left of that decimal point will always be a ones place. The right side of it will be a part which is lesser than a 1. Means out of the 1 is out of the 1 you make 10 parts and you get it. So this becomes 1/10th place. It's not a ones place, it is a 1/10th place. That's the place name, 1/10th place. And that number will be here. If we continue like that, what will happen? The next place, what happens? Again, this is divided by another 10. Means what? 1/10 is already there. That you're going to divide by 10. If we know fractions, if we have understood fractions, that's why I said it's a prerequisite to understand decimals is fractions. So how do we do this? 1/10 divided by 10 means whenever we're doing division, what do we know? The first fraction we write as it is. Then the second one, we take the reciprocal of it. 10 means 10 by 1. So we are going to make a reciprocal of it and the division becomes a multiplication. What is the value of this? It will be a 1/100th. So the place name, this place name will be a 1/100th. So the place name will be a 1/100th. From this, what do we understand? This 1/100th is smaller than the 1/10th. Just like the tens place is smaller than the hundreds place. Ones place is smaller than the tens place. 1/10th place is smaller than the ones place. 1/100th is smaller than the 1/10th place. Okay. The further you go to the right side, the smaller is the contribution of that place to that whole number. Now, how do we understand this visually? Okay. How do we understand this visually? Usually when we learn number systems, what is it that we learned? We learned this is a 1. That is in the ones place, right? Ones. And 10 things like that, okay? 10 things like that. I mean, see here, if I have a, see here, this is just like a 1. So 10 things like that is becoming a rod. So if I have to show this is a 10 plus 1. Together it's 11. If you see, this will come in the tens place. This will come in the ones place. And so this is called as a block. This is called as a rod. Every rod is a 10. Every block is a 1. And for 100, how we used to show? We used to show, okay, if you see here, the small squares are 100 in number. So this is 100. And we used to call this a flat. This is a flat. This is a rod. This is a block. And we used to use this to show this is a 1, this is a 10, this is a 100. That's how we used to use. But then for the sake of our convenience, now we have to show places which are lesser than 1. No, lesser than 1. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using this as the 1, I'm not going to use this as the 1. Not even this one as a 1. I'm going to use this as the 1. Why? You'll understand. Why means it, so if this is the one, like you say you have learned this as 100, I understand, but still, if I'm saying if this is a 1, if this is a 1, if this is a 1, what happens? This will be in the ones place. Now, 1/10 means what? In this one, you're splitting it into 10 parts. See, I'm splitting it into 10 parts, and only one part of it, only 1/10. See, this is, if entire this square is a 1, then this is a 1/10, this is a 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, like that. Fraction again, right? So this is a 1/10. So this will come here. That means I can show this place with this rod. Okay, if this is a 1/10, what will be a 1/100th? What will be a 1/100th? 1/100th is if I split this. If I split this, again, division means what? Splitting and distributing. If I'm splitting this, this becomes a 1/100th. So this will come as a, in this place. This will come in this place. Why we are showing this one is to visually understand how numbers are done. Now, if I have to write, if I have to show a number, okay, let's say a decimal number, let's say decimal number is 1.32. This is the decimal number that I want to show. How will I show it? 1. What have we decided? 1 is this entire flat. Correct? 1 is this entire flat. No. So how will I use it? So this is a 1. 0.3. 3 means 1/10. 1/10. How many 1/10s are there? 3 1/10s are there. 3 1/10s are there. 3 1/10s are there. So I'm going to use this 3 times. Because this is a 1/10, 1/10, 1/10. If this is a 1, this is a 1/10, 1/10, 1/10. 3 1/10s are there. And if this is a 1, this is a 1/100th. Because see, this is a just 1 out of the 100. So this is a 1/100th. 1 out of the 100. 1 out of the 100 this is. So this, how many things are there? 2 things are there, right? 2 things are there. So this is how I will represent this number 1.32. Usually this is a 100, okay? Normally. These are all play things in mathematics which we can use however we want to. If this is a 1, then 1/10 of this will be this. And that is what this is the place value. That is why you have to understand the idea of it. That is when you have to understand the idea of it. Okay. Now we said 1.32 is this. And let's take one more number, 1.23. If I have to compare these two numbers, that is 1.32 and 1.23, which one is more? Which one is more? Which one is more? Okay, so how to understand this is we'll again represent 1.23. 1 whole, this is a 1 whole, and 2/10. That's what we are saying, right? In the 1/10 place, 2 is there. So 2 things like that. 2 things like that. And then we have 3 100ths. We have 3 100ths we have. Now compare this on this. Which is more? Which is looking more, right? We can see that 1.32 is more. You can just observe and see 1.32 is more. This also shows that the weightage of this place is more. Weightage of this 10th place is more. 1/10 place is 1/10 place is more. That is how this number is greater. That is how this number is greater. Okay. Now, there's one more concept about decimal that you have to understand. Did you know that decimals are nothing but fractions? Decimals are nothing but fractions. But special kind of fractions. This is the way I understand it. I understand it. Special kind of fractions they are. Why? Because fractions means you can have, this is a fraction, this is a fraction, this is a fraction, and this is a fraction, right? All these are fractions, right? All these are fractions. But in this fraction itself, if a fraction is having the denominator as a 10 or 100 or 1,000, such fractions are actually decimals. Such fractions are decimals. How? Now, if say for example 6/10, 6/10 means how do you represent it? Using this Rod's blocks, right? We know this is a 1/10. That's what we learned. This is a 1/10. So 6/10 means this will be 6/10. See, this will be 6/10, right? This will be 6/10. Now, how do we write this? How do we write this in the decimal form? Now, 10th place. Where does the 10th place come? If there is a decimal point here, where does the 10th place come? It comes to the right side of it. This is the 1/10 place. So if 1/10 place is this, and this is in 6/10, so I write a 6 here. I don't have anything else. So I write a 0 here. Even after the 6 also you can put 0. Up to you. You can put here also 0, 0, whatever. But the number is 0.6 or just 0.6. And if you see, that was a fraction some time ago, and now it has become a decimal with 0.6 as the way to look at it. So, okay, now coming to 11 over 1,000. How do we show that? How do we show that? Right? How do we show that? Now this was a 1. We cut this entire thing into 10 parts. So we got this as a 1/10. Then in this part, we cut like this, right? We cut into 10 pieces. This became a 100. That means this became a 100th, right? Now what we have to do, in this we have to cut. Means if we are making 10 slices out of this, that will be a 1,000th. So 11,000s means 11 such slices we have to keep. 11 such slices. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 slices. Now, what do we know? This is made up of 10 slices. 10 1,000s. It is made up of that. Now, so this out of this 11, this entire 10 slices will actually become one of the block, 100th block. And one extra slice, this slice will come here. So this is a 1100th if you want to represent this, right? Now, let us see how we can show this in decimal form. Okay, decimal point first. And this is a 1/10th place, this is a 100th place, right? We know that. Now, 1/10th entire rod is not there. So what do we do for this? It is just a 0. It's not there. 100th. Yes, we have a 100th here. So we write a 1. And what do we know? Further, if we go to the right side, next place will be a 1,000th place. 1,000th place. In the 1,000th, that is a slice, only 1 is there. So this. So this fraction can be written as 0.011. Why? Where is the 0 coming from? Before the decimal, there is a 0. That means full flat is not at all there. So I'm just giving for the sake of convenience. But you can also write just write 0, 1, 1. That is also correct. So if you see, this fraction became a decimal. But this fraction, 2/3, cannot be written directly as a fraction. However, we can change the 2/3 also into a decimal. We can change even the 4/11th also as a decimal. How? How to change any fraction into a decimal? That's what we will see. If I say decimals are fractions, then I should also know that how to change any fraction into a decimal. Let's take a fraction 2/5. This is a fraction. Now, how should I show it as a decimal? We know decimal means 5 cannot be there in the denominator. The denominator should either be 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. This is the way the denominator can be. But as of now, this is not there. Denominator is not there. But if we know fractions topic, we will know that, oh, this 2/5 can be written using the equivalent fraction as something else. How do we write equivalent fractions to this? Equivalent fractions to this is maybe multiply by 2. You will get a 4 over a 10. Wow, nice. Oh, that means what? That means what? 2/5 is same as 4/10. 2/5 is same as 4/10. Just for a recap, how 2/5 is same as 4/10? Let's take. This is a 2/5, right? This much colored part is a 2/5. Let me take 4/10 and let's compare. 2/5 and this is a 4/10. 4 is colored. If you see the colored part, exactly matches. Fraction is the colored section. That is what we have to compare. So we have comparing. So 2/5 is same as 4/10. 2/5 is same as 4/10. Now, because now it is in the form of a 4/10 and the denominator is at 10, we know that the 10th place, 1/10th place is a 1/10th place. It will have a 4. Means why? Because it will have 4 rods. 4/10 means 1, 2, 3, 4. This many things will be there, and for everything it's a 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. So this same 2/5 can be made into a decimal called 0.4. Why? We are just using the concept of equivalent fraction. We're just using the concept of equivalent fraction. This is one way that we can do convert any decimal, any fraction into decimal. There's another way. Why? What is that another way? We are using the concept of equivalent fraction. Equivalent fraction. Now it is easy for me to convert this into a decimal using equivalent fraction. Now if we're having 2/3. Now, if I multiply anything, let it be any number I multiply with 3, I will never get a 10 or a 100 or 1,000. I will never get it. Then how can I put it in decimal? How can I put in decimal? Okay. To understand this, we'll again take the same example, 2/5 only. Now, if you know fractions, fractions also means division. Fraction also means division. What is the meaning of this? 2 things was there. You are giving it to 5 people. 2 is divided by 5. Not 5 divided by 2. 2 is divided by 5. That's the meaning of this fraction. Now let's see. If 2/5 is 2 divided by 5, when we do the division, we should get this 0.4. 0.4 we should get. Let's see whether we are getting it. 2 divided by 4 means 2 comes inside. That's the dividend. And 5 is the divisor, which we put outside. Now, we cannot divide this 2 by 5, right? So what do? We take a decimal point. See, a normal 2 means it's a 2 in the ones place. Ones place 2 is there. After the ones place, there's a dot. If there's nothing after the 2 means, that's meaning is 1/10th place has a 0, 100th place is a 0, 1000th place is a 0. All these places are having a 0. That's the meaning. Implicitly, it's a meaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point there. Okay, I'm going to take this point there. So what happens? I can take this 20 together. That's how we do division, right? If one digit is not enough, we take the next digit also. So now I'm going to take both the digits. What happens? 20. 5 times 4 is it 20? Okay, done. I got the remainder is 0. See, I got a 0.4 as the answer of this division, right? Because I got this, using division, now I know that I can use the same thing here. Means what? 2 is divided by 3. Okay, let's do the division. 2 is inside, 3 is outside. And I know there's a decimal point here, like implicitly it is there. Why implicitly it is there? Because 2 is the ones place. After the ones place, the 1/10th place, 100th place, 1000th place, many places are there. I can put any number of zeros. It is actually without telling that is there. That's the meaning. So 2 cannot be divided by 3 directly. So I'm going to take this decimal point up there. So decimal point is no more there in this number now. It's not there. So I take the first 2 digits now. I take the first 2 digits, the 20. So 3 times 6 is a 18. And I do subtraction, I got to get a 2. Now, the next 0 is there. I can take the next 0. Again, 3 times 6 is a 18. Again, it's a 2. So the next 0 I can take. Again, I get a 6 and 18. So if you see, I can again have a 0 and again I can keep on continuing. That this shows what this is continuing. It is continuing. It is going on 6.666666. However, this is also a decimal. So 2/3 can be written as 0.66666666. This is the decimal form. We could write this fraction also. That means any fraction can be written in the form of a decimal. But directly means decimals are fractions which are having the denominator as a 10 or 100 or 1000. Okay. Once we understand this, once we understand the place value of this, rest all addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, everything just follows simple way of normal addition subtraction. Because when we learned addition of ones place, addition of tens place is nothing but the same method of addition of the ones place we had to continue, right? Like that only, the addition of decimals will be just normal numbers. Just that place values you have to do properly. Like for example, if I say a question, let's say 3 plus 206. Okay. If I give you this kind of a question, will you write 3 and 206 like this? Addition, will you do like this? No, it's wrong. Why? Because 3 is supposed to be in the ones place. Correct? This is wrong. So how will you do it? 3 in the ones place, 6 is in the ones place. No? So you write the 6 in the ones place and you write like this. So that the place values are properly, places are properly one below the other. Right? This we always maintain in normal addition also. The same thing we have to maintain in decimals also. We have to maintain in decimals also. For example, if I get 1.6 plus 2.02, if I'm having like this, what is the meaning of this? In the 1/10th place, I have a 6. 1/10th place, I have a 0, not a 2. So, when I write 1.6 here, how should I write? The 0 is in the 1/10th place, so 0 should come here. And the 2 is in the ones place, so 2 should come here. And 2 should, the 2 after that, it's actually a 100th place. Now you might think, we're wondering, what is this? There's nothing here. There's a gap here. There's a gap here. In this addition, what did we consider? There is a 0 here implicitly. Without telling itself, 3 means it's 003. Like that, without telling, 1.6 means 1.6000. That's the meaning. Why? This says that in the 100th place, there's nothing. But in the second number, in the 100th place, there is a 2. So we use that, we consider like that, and just write this. This will be our addition. This same rule has to be followed for subtraction also. Okay. The places should be properly aligned before we do addition or subtraction. Okay. I hope you have understood the basics of decimal and addition and subtraction of decimals.